Well, it's the weekend. We're having a couple of people over for dinner tonight, so I thought I'd make some roast chickens. I was going to make one roast chicken, but they got these little tiny ones at the grocery store, so I bought two. And since it's the weekend and I know I'm doing this in advance, I'm going to brine them. I'm going to make about 3/4 of brine. And so since it's 3/4, it's going to be 3/4 cup of salt and 3/4 cup of sugar. And I only got 2 quarts of water here in the pot. What I'm going to do is warm up this water a little bit. It's going to help that sugar salt dissolve. And then I'm gonna add some about 1/4 ice and cold water to it, so it's nice and cold before I stick the chickens in. So these little chickens are gonna go in my fridge for now, just as is. I'm gonna make this brine, get that salt sugar all dissolved. And so this, there's lots of ways to make a delicious roast chicken. But if you got the time, I think the best way is to brine it. That's what a lot of people tell you. So there's a lot of brining recipes out there. I just want to show you how one way to do it, to see what it looks like. So I'm going to put the chickens in the fridge. I'm going to turn the flame on a little bit, warm up the water, help the sugar and salt completely dissolve in there. And then I'm going to cool down the brine before I use it. Because I don't need the chickens to brine too long, especially in that tiny little chickens this size. More soup. Alright, so let's say you needed that brine right away. I warmed up the water so that you get the salt and the sugar to dissolve in it. But you don't want to brine your chicken in warm water. That's not good for the health of it. It would encourage the growth of the microbes in there. So you don't want that. So what we do here, that's why I made it concentrated. Put in 1/4 of ice and water, real cold, and then dump in the brine that was warmed up, and that will cool it right down. Now I don't actually need the brine right away, but I'm showing you, you got to get it cold so that you don't, put your chicken in warm water. You do that, whisk it around. By the time all the ice is melted, it should be pretty cool, and it should be, pretty good to put the chicken in there. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this pot of brine here. I'm going to stick it in the fridge so it stays good and cold. Because I don't need to start brining my chicken for a couple hours. The chicken only need to stay in the brine about an hour, I think. So I'm going to double check, my notes, but I'm pretty sure that's all it needs. So it's just going to go in the fridge now, and then when it's time, I'm going to put the chicken in here. All right, it's time to prep these chickens for the brine. Before we stick them in there, we're going to do a couple of things. All right, we'll take a look at our chicken here. We're going to stand it up and just orient it so that we really understand the different pieces and parts of the bird here. So we got the legs down here on the bottom, just like it was standing up. The head be up here, so this makes these the breasts, and this the back. So down the back, we're going to make some slits. We're going to make some 1-inch slits in the skin there. Just cut the skin. Make a 1-inch slit there in the skin. I should sharpen my knife a little bit for this. I'll do that pretty soon here. So I'm going to make 4 1-inch slits in the back. My knife was sharper, this will be going easier, so I'm going to sharpen it before I do the next bite. And this is so that the fat and juices can escape. We're going to poke a number of holes in the bite here. And that's going to help fat and juices escape. Alright, so now I take a look over here. We got, here's the breast meat, the legs, and the thighs down here. Right? There's our chicken thighs, right there. And so what we want to do here, we're going to reach inside. You got to get your hands in there. You can't be afraid of it. And we're going to loosen some of the skin up from there, and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it loosen up there. You're going to feel that just loosen up with your hands. And this is again going to help the brine penetrate. It's going to also help it during the cooking. When the fat starts to render, you're going to be a way for the fat to escape. Just reaching around in there in the bite. You can't, you can't be afraid of getting your hands in there on a raw chicken. Do this. You don't want to rip the skin though. So do it, do it real gentle. Now's a good time too if, you know, if they didn't do a very good job getting all the quills or the feathers out of the bird. Now's the time to do that. Alright, let's see. I'm going to reach under there. I'm going to loosen up some of the skin on the thighs too. Okay. This technique I'm using here, the way I'm going to cook this chicken, these chickens I should say, the way I'm going to cook these is basically a rendition of a Cook's Illustrated way of doing a roast chicken, and I really like it a lot. So I got to give a shout out to them for this this recipe and technique here. So now we look, if you see there on the camera, take a careful look, you see fat deposits on the breasts. You know, instead of looking clear and translucent, it looks a little more opaque, more white there. You can see fat deposits around here on the thighs too, right? You open that up, you see fat deposit down in there. What we're going to do, we're going to take a skewer and we're just going to poke some holes along the breast on the fat deposits. We're going to do that. And this is also going to let some of that fat escape when it's rendering there, once this is baking. Also going to create some little points of entry for the brine. Alright. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, there's a nice big fat deposit right there. Turn that around, you can see a little better. Okay. I think that's pretty good. So that, I'm going to do the same thing with the other bird, and then I'm going to put them in the brine. Alright, that looks pretty good there. And my chickens are in the brine there. They're sitting in there, and I see that they, you know, you see they fit real nice in this pot, which is good for me, of course. And I've got about the right amount of brine in there. There's about an inch of space at the top there. Chickens have completely submerged, and so that's real good. Now, what if you don't have the right size pot, or maybe you got too much brine? Well, you got too much brine, dump it out. You don't got enough brine to cover it, make more. Okay, you need them completely submerged. And if you don't got a right size pot, well then, you know, use one of them giant Ziploc bags, you know, one of them 2.5 or 3 gallon size plastic bags.
Well, call your neighbor.
Call your neighbor, my wife says. Maybe they got a container you can fit in there. Alright, so now these going in the fridge for 1 hour. Alright, so the chicken's been in the brine about ½ hour. That means they got about another ½ hour to go. So now, what I'm going to do is start preheating the oven. I'm going to turn my oven on to about 450 degrees. It's going to be roasted at high temperature. The other thing we're going to do with this technique here, we're going to put the chicken in oven-safe skillet. So I'm using cast iron. I got 2 cast iron, you know, pans here. Actually, one's a deep pan, the other's a Dutch oven. They're going right in the oven. They're going to heat up along with the oven itself. That's an important part of this technique here. So you know, ½ hour into it, turn on your oven, put your cast iron, you know, pan in there, and let it heat up. All right, we'll be back in ½ an hour when the chicken's done brining. All right. The chicken been in the brine an hour. It's time to process it. So we're going to take the chickens out. We're going to pat them dry. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do to get them in the oven. Do one chicken at a time here. Get all the brine liquid that you can, you know, let it dribble out of the chicken into whatever container you've been using. Bring it over here onto your, you know, and I like to work on a nice big rimmed baking tray. And we're going to pat it dry. That's a good little chicken. Oh, little chickie, you're doing a nice job. You're going to make a nice dinner. Thank you. We appreciate you. That's a good little chicken right there. Alright, so once you get the chicken patted dry, I'm going to do a couple of things. Go pat that chicken dry. Reach around and, you know, dry off all the little hooks and crannies. You don't got to get crazy with it, but, you know, It's better if you get more of the liquid removed. Because you want the skin to be good and crispy when you cook it. That's part of the beautiful thing about roasting your own chicken. You pull it out of the oven, especially roasting at this high temperature like we're doing here. You're going to have that delicious crispy skin. That is one of the real treats of roasting your own chicken. There we go. Alright, so I dried it off. Now I got a couple tablespoons of olive oil. This is for 2 chickens. I got about half a teaspoon of rosemary that I broke it up a little bit, dried rosemary. I broke it up in my mortar and pestle. And I got about a teaspoon of ground black pepper here. I'm going to mix this together. I'm going to use half of this on this chicken, and I'm going to use half on the other chicken. So I'm just going to mix it up with a fork there. Alright. We ain't got any salt in here because the salt's all in the chicken from the brine. So you don't need any salt in this rub right here. Mix it up. Don't be afraid. You got to get your fingers and hands in there when you're making this roast chicken like this. And pour some of that over there. And then I'm just going to rub it. Rub that chicken. Oh, that looks good. It's already looking beautiful. Rub it all over. Rub that chicken all over. Get that pepper, olive oil. I like rosemary. I threw that in there. Get it over there. You like other spices on your chicken? You want an oil chicken? You can do that. All right. Now, if we take a look at our chicken again, this is the breast side. Right here, this is the breast side. And the legs down here and the wings up here. So we're going to put it on its back. And we're going to take some twine. This is twine that's made for, bacon, for trussing meat. And we're going to tie the 2 legs together. You don't got to use any fancy kind of knot. You just tie them together. Any knot that works for you. Let's get them legs tied together tight. By the ends there. So there they are. They're tied together. This helps with the evenness of the cooking. That's why you do this. The other thing we're going to do, you're going to take the wings and you're going to tuck it backwards. And hopefully, be gentle with it. You don't want to break it. Tuck that wing under there, like that. Okay? Now, if you like the little end of the wing to be real brown and super crispy, you leave it out, hanging out. But if you want it cooked more even, take that little wing, gently sneak it under the chicken. There you go. So that's what we're going to do with both chickens, and then we're going to get them in the oven. I got to fix this wing. I just moved that again, but that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do the same things with the second chicken, and I'll be right back. Alright, now the chicken's going to go in the oven. Breast side up, back down. And remember, we already got the, what we need, we got these pans preheated. It's beautiful cast iron. Now what you can do with these right now, you can drizzle a little olive oil in each one. Like that. Now they're real hot. Remember, the oven's 450. It's 450 degrees. You gotta be real careful. You don't want to burn yourself. So we drizzle a little oil in there, swirl it around, and take one of these gloves off, and use one hand. Put the chicken in there. You hear it sizzle, because that pan's so hot. I use the other hand that didn't have no chicken juice on it. I use that hand to push the tray back in there and close it up. And so now I'm going to let those chickens go about half hour, and then I'm going to stick a thermometer probe in the smaller of the 2 so we can track its progress on the thermometer. Okay, so the chicken been in the oven about half hour. Now what I'm going to do, you don't have to have one of these, but it makes it a little easier. I got this temperature probe device. I got it set to make an alarm go off when it hits 165 degrees. And I'm going to take the probe and I'm going to stick it down in the breast near the bone, down into the thickest part of the breast next to the thigh. Right now, it's only 80 degrees. That's all it is right now. Been in the oven half hour, it's only 80 degrees. I'm going to find where it's coldest. Right there. At 8 degrees, and so when this gets to 165, that's when it's going to be done. So it's back in the oven for my little chicken there. You know, it's 82 degrees now. Getting warmer a little bit each minute. Chicken back in the oven, that temperature probe in there. And that's just going to tell me when that thing's all done. Alright, the chicken been in the oven about an hour now. Company's here, we're hanging out, and we have a little drink. Chicken in the thickest part of the breast is 146 degrees right there. So it's still got 20 degrees to go, and then we got to give it a little rest. So let's just take a little peek at it too, see what it looks like. We're going to take a little peek in the oven here. Oh yeah. This one over here is looking more brown than the other one. This one's getting brown a little bit, but not too brown yet. So we're just going to keep them cute little birds in there and let them keep going, let the temperature come up. And then I'm going to poke it in a few places with my, my instant read thermometer to make sure that they cooking the way we want them to. Alright, now we got the chicken thermometer saying it's above 160. So we're going to check it out here. It's pretty hot there. We're going to poke it in a few places with the instant read thermometer. See what it says. That spot right there, that's only 153 degrees right there. So it ain't done yet. Move it a little bit. 157 back there. And check this out back here, that down the wing and the thigh.
Why is it so uneven?
The wings are probably done. Yeah, the wings are 180. So they done. And the thigh. And the thigh down there, the thigh's about done. We just got to bring the temperature of the breast up a little bit. That's all we got to do. So I'm going to take this and move it a little bit where I found that low spot. Where did I find that low spot? Right there. There it is. I'm going to put it back in the oven. Wait till it comes up to at least 160. Alright, the first chicken is done. It got up to the right temperature. At least 160 in all the thickest parts of the breast, and at least 175 in the dark meat. But you don't want to lose this stuff neither. This is deliciousness right here. So I put a little water in the pan. And I'm going to whisk this around. Loosen up all the brown bits. We're going to have some gravy here, and I'm going to put it in a fat separator. So you get some juice. It's going to be real good. It's going to be delicious. Everybody going to want to drink it. That's what we do with that. The other chicken should be done in 5 minutes. Alright, the second chicken is done. Look at that beautiful chicken. That beautiful golden brown skin right there. All that juice in the pan. We're going to take all that juice that's down there. We're going to put it in a fat separator. The stuff on the bottom is going to be the gravy. The stuff on the top is going to be the schmaltz. And you know that I love the schmaltz. So, we're going to use all of it. We're going to eat the whole thing. We're going to use every little part of this bird right here and be thankful that we have it. So, there's a lot of good videos out there about carving a chicken, so I'm not going to show you how to carve it. But you got to let this rest a little bit. Let it rest a few minutes before you carve it. And once you carve it, you enjoy it with your friends and family. And yeah, so you don't know how to carve a chicken, there's some good videos out there. Maybe I put a link in the comments section, so if you need that, you can do that. You can do that. So eating good health, l'chaim. Look at that right there. Look at that. That's all the juice and drippings that was in the pan. 2 pans. And those beautiful little roast chickens. And all that beautiful golden layer on top, that's your schmaltz. You saved that. There's brown and stuff on the bottom, that's your gravy. You saved that too. It's all delicious, it's all got its use. That way you don't got to throw nothing away. So eat in good health, l'chaim.